It definitely feels like things are changing in the 49ers organization, and I'm not real sure what to make of it. We'll talk about it a little bit here today. Thank you for joining me on the Seth Floyd Show. I'm your host, Seth Hansen, Seth Floyd Hansen to be specific. It's been a few days since I've done a video. Guys, I had knee surgery today. I'm recording this Tuesday night, Tuesday morning. I had a cleanup procedure on my knee, and I've been kind of getting ready for that, so I pushed off some videos. And anyway, I'm back tonight. Guys, when I hit record on this video, I was at 355 subscribers. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Please, if you're new here, please hit subscribe right down on the corner. All you gotta do is hit it and then never think about it again. If that's you, it just does a lot for me. I appreciate you. Like the video as well, share it with your friends. So a lot has happened. A lot has happened since the last video that I made. Debo's been traded, 5th round pick to Washington, which I think was probably the most we expected to get for him. There was a report that John Lynch, the original asking price was a 4th round pick, and I think we would have been shocked. It would have been shocking to see us get a 4th round pick for him. So he's off to Washington, 5th round pick, great. I'm a little surprised. I thought he would get cut before he'd get traded. They're going to eat all that cap space, that dead cap money. That's like $17 million or something in that first year, this year. But they're buying a draft pick essentially by paying for that with that cap, which is fine. They're trying to load up. They're trying to get younger, trying to load up, and so it makes sense. And they've historically been pretty good in the 5th round pickings, and we don't have a 5th round pick this year, so it was a good move. I'm all for it. I don't want to just let guys walk. If they can finagle the cap and make it all work, then fine. However, that's kind of brings me to my next point. There's been some weird stories going on. It sounds like everybody is on the block. Not on the block. They're not calling teams trying to offload guys. But the Niners basically sound like they're open for business for a lot of players, okay? And the surprising one is Brandon Ayuk. Now, I don't blame them for being open to trading Brandon Ayuk. And they're not going to give him away, okay? But I'm a little surprised. You know, they had all that drama last offseason. Ayuk even said he made it harder than it probably needed to be. And it sounds like the front office and people in the front office did not like how it went. It sounds like Shanahan liked it. Not liked how it went, but like Shanahan was happy that he's back even at the price he is. And not much else is kind of the vibes I got. It sounds like there's a little buyer's remorse there. And so it makes sense. He's a big number. And then he gets hurt. Like that's a devastating, speaking of knee surgeries, that's a devastating knee injury he had. Okay, that wasn't like a clean ACL tear. He had other ligaments get torn as well. And it is, who knows what he's gonna be when he comes back? No one knows. Guys, it's not that easy. Some guys come back, some guys in the NFL come back and they're fine and they play very close to what they were before, but a lot of them don't. And so there's a real chance Ayuk is 85% of what he used to be and he never gets higher than that. So yeah, I don't blame the front office for being like, look, if anyone's really wants him that bad, then we'll listen. Now I imagine that floor price is like a 2nd round pick, especially in this year's draft where there's plenty of starters to be found in the 2nd round. I bet you teams might be calling, seeing if they can get him for like a 3rd and a 4th, which I bet they'd turn down. But it just feels like the vibes are different around the team right now. It feels like they are, as a lot of people have described, I can't remember if it was David Lombardi or whoever, saying they don't have a cap problem, they have a cash problem. Jed York just wants to tighten the belt and stop giving out these huge bonuses. And I don't blame them. Like they've given out some pretty questionable bonuses and restructures last year with unprompted, did it for Debo, which that kind of bit us in the butt. You know, they had to up Trent Williams, which you didn't have a choice. You had to do that for Trent Williams. They did it for McCaffrey. Anyway, so their cap issue is relatively the same. It's not that they can't fit things in the cap. It's that Jed York doesn't want to just pay these big bonuses up front, especially after last year going 6-11. Which, if you have a cash problem, you're eventually going to have a cap problem because your cap hits are going to be bigger if you can't pay cash up front. So anyway. Point is it sounds like there's a lot of guys on the block, a lot of guys that could be traded. Some aren't as surprising, like Jordan Mason, 100% feels like he is a trade candidate. The report from Schefter, I think, was that the people have made calls about Jordan Mason. I'm not sure what that would look like. Like, what compensation can you get from him? Like, if you can get a 5th-round pick for a running back, like, yeah, you run that to the commissioner's office and make sure to get the deal done. Sounds like I think you're most likely going to get a 6th-round pick for him, because running backs are just a dime a dozen, and this is a strong running back class. So you're probably not, I don't know, I'm not sure if you're going to have a lot of teams that are willing to pay up a hefty draft pick when they know there's some in the draft. But who knows? I mean, Jordan Mason is a proven player. Like, he showed it last year. Probably got a little banged up, but he is a bona fide starter in this league when he's healthy. So that'll be interesting to watch. The Javon Hargrave rumor that they're trying to shop Javon Hargrave. Yeah, I'm sure they are. That one really, I don't think is going to happen. I think everybody knows he's getting released, so I wouldn't expect him to be there. But regardless, it feels like there's going to be some weird moves coming forward. Feels like we're entering a new era of 49er football. The one weird one that makes me uneasy a little bit was Brock Purdy. And Schefter went on Pat McAfee today, and he's talking about the Niners would be willing to tag Brock Purdy. Well, you can't tag him until he's going to be a free agent, so they couldn't have tagged him this year anyway, plus that deadline is passed. So essentially what he's saying, look, they could make Brock play on his 4th year of his deal, final year, for like $5 million, which would be a heck of a raise for Brock. Obviously not what he wants to do. And then they could just tag him next year, and it would be like $41 million, which would be a bargain, especially next year once more guys get paid. And then if they wanted to tag him a second time, it would be about $52 million or something. Probably still a bargain. I don't know. So I thought all signs were pointing that this was going to be an easy contract negotiation, that it would get done. And clearly, if these reports are true, clearly there's a number that the 49ers don't want to go above. And it sounds like Brock Purdy and his camp are probably hinting that they want to be over that number. And it makes me nervous. It makes me a little nervous because I love Brock. But also, what's best for the team, disregarding emotions and all of that, like, what's best for the team is make Brock play on his $5 million deal, the final year of his contract, and then tagging him the year after that and make $40 million, but save all that money on the cap. Like, that is what is best for the team. But if this is real and it's going to go down this path, things are going to get weird before they get better. And for some people are okay with that because a lot of people don't believe in Brock. I believe in Brock. I do. Mostly because what is your other option? The only other option really that can help you in 2025, I mean, I'm not bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, there's some guy on Twitter or on X that constantly brings up bringing in Aaron Rodgers, and he thinks it's going to happen. Please do not do that. Please do not do that. Okay? There was a time where I would have loved Rodgers, and he just seems like a culture team killer right now, and I do not want to touch that. You could bring back Sam Darnold at a really cheap price, and I think there's a lot of people that think Kyle could get similar production out of Sam Darnold that he got from Purdy, but it's just tough because Purdy has done it. Purdy has done it in the biggest games. He was great. I know last year was the season from hell. He didn't look great. No one looked great. But in the playoffs, he has done it. Even after some slow starts, he pulled himself out of it and got it done and led touchdown drives when you needed it most outside of that Super Bowl game. But he did not lose. He's not the reason we lost that Super Bowl. He actually played fine. He played fine. And, but man, so it makes me nervous because what do you do? What do you do? Is Brock the kind of guy that's going to hold out? If you tell him he's got to play on his final year of his deal, like, is he just going to hold out? He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to hold out, but man, it's different than like an Ayuk situation to me, because Ayuk was set to make, what was he going to make? Like 17 million last year, maybe 14 on his deal. And instead now he's getting 30. Like, that's a big jump, but Brock is potentially going from, okay, he's going to play for $5 million this year, or 55 in his mind, or 50, whatever, like that. So I don't blame him. And if he holds out, like, golly, things that I just think, I hope this gets resolved quicker sooner rather than later, because it's going to get weird. It's going to get weird before it gets better. And who knows what what Brock will do. Maybe they're trying to, maybe they just feel like Brock is the kind of guy that could take a hometown discount if they twist his arm a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if that's right. The dude took you to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. It feels like the sweet spot for him is right around the 50 million mark, but clearly they want to tighten their belts a little bit, and they're not dying to do that right now. So anyway, keep your eyes open. Let me know what you think about it. Would you pay Brock? A lot of you wouldn't. A lot of you would. I don't want to pay Brock 60 million. Like I said, the 50 million probably feels about right. Last thing, I'm starting to think that offensive tackle could potentially be in play for the Niners at 11. I don't think Will Campbell, but I think Armen Membo, who he's like the story of the combine this past weekend. That dude is a freak athlete, 332 pounds, running a 4.91 40. You just watch that dude move. It is unbelievable. Now, he's not the perfect build for playing tackle. I think his arms are long enough. What were they, 33 and a half, 34 inches? The rule kind of is like 34 is supposed to be the basement. But you might look the other way if a guy is crazy athletic like Membo is. And now it sounds like Membo, people are saying like you'll be lucky if Membo's there at 11. Which, like, if they went Armen Membo, I'm all for it. I will draft crazy athleticism for a guy who is already touted to be a first-round pick. Where I get worried is like, okay, this guy's like a third rounder, maybe like end a second, and then he does really well at the combine running, and all of a sudden he's like a top 10 pick. That's what I would stay away from. But I think Armen Membo probably snuck under the radar as far as being one of the top tackles. Played at Missouri, Missouri wasn't terrible, but went under the radar in that offense. And now you're watching the tape, and you're like, oh, this dude can move a little bit. And then he backs it up with the combine numbers. You're like, holy crap, this dude is a freak. So if you took him at 11, I'm all for it. I think it would be a great pick. But if you get, the best case scenario for the Niners is you want guys like Will Campbell and Armen Membo to go in the top 10. Unless you are so in love with Armen Membo and you not having Armen Membo is going to ruin your draft. Like, you want him to go in the top 10, and you want Shadur Sanders to go in the top 10 along with Cam Ward, and you want Ashton Genty to go in the top 10, or a Tyler Warren if you're not targeting Tyler Warren, because it just pushes more guys down. Like, you get it's a weird scenario if you've got Will Campbell, Armen Membo, Cam Ward, and Shadur Sanders all off the board in the top 10. There's a world where Mason Graham gets pushed down the board a little bit to 11, because like Abdul Carter's for sure going in the first 10 picks, whatever. Travis Hunter's for sure going in the first 10 picks. So you might see guys like, I don't know, maybe there's a team that's like, look, we don't want Mason, we don't need an interior D lineman, we're going to go Tetaroa McMillan or Luther Burden out of Missouri. So things can change pretty quick if you get some of these other guys hopping into the first 10 picks. And that's what the 49ers would like to see if they're going to stay at 11. But Armen Membo, keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him, because he's going to be a freak in the NFL, and I would love to have him on the team. I'm at the point right now, like I haven't broken down film, guys. I haven't done any of that, but I'm at the point right now. If Will Campbell, Armen Membo, Kelvin Banks are all on the board at the same time, and we have to go tackle, like, I think I would go Membo, just his athleticism. Like, there's no, like in Kyle Shanahan's offense, you have to be able to get out of your stance. You have to be able to move. You have to be able to run. And he can do it. And that's way more attractive to me than anything else. So just something to keep an eye on. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Just kind of a quick update. Keep an eye on those contracts. I don't think Brandon Ayuk's getting traded. That was the one thing I was going to circle back around to. Like, he's not getting traded. No one is going to give a second or first round pick to take on that contract and the risk with his knee. Teams are calling because they're like, can I get him for a third and a future fourth? That's what they're calling about. And the Niners aren't doing that unless they get a high draft pick this year, I'm sure. But so, and to eat all that cap money that they're going to have to eat. So I don't think he's getting traded, but it's just very telling where the mindset is of everyone. And then the Brock Purdy stuff, what's going to happen, man? I mean, I'm assuming he gets signed, but these are kind of talks that we haven't heard before, that they could make him play on that final year, and it's a little worrisome in my eyes. It's just going to hurt the vibes a little bit, but we'll see what happens. Thank you again for being here. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video, and I'm out. Go Niners.